A walkthrough of furniture adding and configuration. So I'm going to start with the daybed and walk through the features of this for setting up the sort ordering of the legs and the body, as well as how to configure the zone for coins to fall through onto the floor and the item exclusion zone. Start with the sort ordering items. So the PSB has been imported and sized. Make sure that the root sprite renderer is unchecked, so it's no longer enabled. The PSB will take over. A couple things to remember on the PSB is each sprite in the PSB needs to be on the POTS layer. The order and layer is calculated at runtime, so we don't need to worry about that. Each of these also has a layout preferences script added to it. This is used at runtime to help configure the order and layer so things are properly lined up. The layout preferences are a little bit different for the legs and the body, so I'm going to walk through the body first and then the legs. So here, the layout preferences, we check use absolute positioning. We check off this update sort order sequence after absolute positioning, and we add a reference to a sort order reference object. These sort order reference objects are child objects of each of the sprites of the PSB. These are used purely as a reference within the scene to tell the software where that sprite contacts the floor. And then this is used to calculate that sort order ID. So if you don't see the two vectors here meeting, press the W key and that'll change it over to that. And then this can be moved around so it lines up correctly. We only care about the Y location. So this horizontal position doesn't matter at all. Just line up the bottom. So the floor contact point is where we want it. The body of the daybed, essentially, I set it up so it lines up with where the front of the sofa would drop down to the floor. Okay, so that's the body. For the legs, these are each the same as far as configuration goes. Each one has absolute positioning checked. They have a reference to their own sort order reference points that are here and here. And they uncheck this last box of update sort order sequence. And then create a blank object for each of these. Add them as children of the different leg PSB leg sprites, and then position them to where that sprite meets the ground. So in the case of the front legs, it's pretty much identical to where the body is. In the back legs, it's back here by the back legs. The last thing to do for each of these sprites for the legs is create robot bumpers so the robot can drive around and not clip through these polygon colliders, the area that they mark out. So each of these is a child object. It has a polygon collider, and we need to make sure that it's on this robot collisions layer up here. And then the robot polygon colliders mark out a region on the legs where you don't want the robot to clip through. So this should be as small as possible to keep the robot from getting hung up on the collider, but big enough so the robot doesn't drive over that area. Okay, and there's a robot bumper per leg, and the one thing to make sure of is that it has the polygon collider, it's a trigger, and it's on this robot collisions layer. Okay, that's it for sort ordering and robot bumpers of the PSB. Two more things. we're going to talk about, which is the ignore floor item. This allows coins to drop through the furniture and not stop anywhere on it. Normally coins will start to stop when they overlap part of the apartment floor. And we add this ignore floor here to make sure that whatever overlap this piece of furniture has with the floor doesn't cause the coins to stop. This is a prefab you can find in the tree. It's down in prefabs, gameplay elements, ignore floor. Also, it'll be present if you copy and start with one of these items. So it is a polygon collider on a layer of its own called ignore hard surfaces. And then the polygon collider really marks out anywhere where you don't want coins to stop. Here it's stretched around the entire sofa, so it just makes sure that the coins won't get hung up if part of the sofa overlaps the floor. So just keep going. The last piece that I want to talk about here is the item exclusion zone, also a prefab. That'll be part of a duplicated item. This is a polygon collider with a polygon collider on the item exclusion zone layer. And what this does is if this daybed is placed in the room, any existing items that show up within this polygon collider are then moved back to the staging area, so things are not clipping through this daybed. These will be present on the object duplicated, so they just need to be adjusted to fit. And I think that's it.